Hi, this is Mark Birch, and the following should give you a chance to structure a top grade response. Today we're going to be taking a look at how Shakespeare presents the character of Banquo in the play. King James I traced his ancestry back to Banquo, and so as a direct descendant of Banquo, King James was going to be flattered by any representation of Banquo that was positive, and particularly as Shakespeare was working for the king's men, the king was his patron, he would want to ensure that he was flattering him. The similes that the captain uses to describe the bravery of Macbeth in Act 1, Scene 2 are also ascribed to Banquo. And even when considering the murder of Banquo, Macbeth describes him as having a dauntless temper of his mind. In other words, he's brave. In Act 1, Scene 3, Banquo demonstrates his scepticism, stating that oftentimes to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths. And the same scepticism is evident in Act 3, Scene 1, when he states, "I fear thou playedst most foully for it." Banquo's scepticism is another aspect of his wisdom and caution, but in Act 1, Scene 6, Shakespeare uses dramatic irony to point out the ignorance of Banquo in relation to the symbolism of the temple-haunting martlet, although this may be a facet of his innocence. Banquo's loyal and honourable. He makes this clear to Macbeth when Macbeth asks him to cleave to his consent. He says, as long as it keeps my bosom franchised and allegiance clear. And in 1-4 he extends Duncan's horticultural metaphor in order to convey the idea of his loyalty to the king. Banquo's honesty is evident in Act 2, Scene 1, when he says, "I dreamt last night of the 3 weird sisters," in complete contrast to the lies and deceit offered by Macbeth, "I think not of them." Banquo's protective attitude towards his son Fleance could be evident in Act 2, Scene 1, when he tells him to take thee that, depending on what the director chooses to hand him, for example, a cloak, etc. This is more evident in Act 3, Scene 3, when, upon recognising that they're under attack, Banquo's first thoughts are for his son. "Fly, good Fleance, fly, fly, fly." Banquo is clearly respected by his peers. When Lady Macbeth seemingly faints, it's on his instructions that she's carried out of the scene. And it's him that takes control following the death of Duncan. He's the one that tells everybody to go and get dressed, and then they will explore what's going to happen. It's worth recognising that the appearance of Banquo's ghost in the banquet scene functions as a manifestation of Macbeth's guilt. The subsequent references to Banquo's murder reinforce this sense of Macbeth's guilt and also pity for Banquo, particularly in, for example, Act 1, Scene 6, when Lennox uses the epithet "right valiant" to refer to Banquo. Despite the apparitions in Act 4, Scene 1 making Macbeth feel invulnerable, the premonition regarding Banquo from Act 1, Scene 3 is at the forefront of Macbeth's mind by this stage. The image of 8 kings followed by Banquo's ghost symbolises the royal descent of Banquo, ultimately manifesting itself in James I and illustrating the futility of Macbeth's regicide. For the close analysis required to flesh out this framework, please refer to the videos I've made on the specific scenes. Okay, ta.